My two sisters were molested for groceries. The short story is that my grandfather made a deal with my parents, and the deal is that since we were financially unable to buy groceries, that he would sleep with my two sisters in exchange for paying for our groceries on a monthly basis. This, in and of itself, I think, is a demonstration that sexual violence is not an East-West issue. And I think that's one of the first points that I want to get across to these world leaders. We need to start removing the language of an East-West framework. That we need to remove the ideology that promotes this language that somehow the West has all the answers, that somehow the West can produce something that the East lacks. But in and of itself, the reason why I share this personal story is to prove the point that sexual violence is a global issue, and we need to deal with it on a global level. There's a movie with Viggo Mortensen and Rio Bello called The History of Violence, and it chronicles this character, and he clearly has an issue with violence. And there are a couple scenes where he, what could only be read as raping his wife, yet the film, through film effects and filming techniques, make it look like it was basically just a passionate, quasi-violent sexual act. And this in and of itself is demonstrative that the fact is that we live with sexual violence within our mythology in the West as if it's acceptable. And this isn't acceptable. It's wrong. Even if we talk about it on an educational level, even following down to young children. Think about the cartoons that we're showing our kids. Think about the fact that most of the funny aspects of a cartoon are the violent aspects. That sexual violence starts at violence, and we are promoting this. In the West, we think it's okay. We laugh with our children at these things, and we need to realize that there are what are seemingly impenetrable issues can be penetrated through the point that we need to deal with it on an educational level, on a global level. Yes, even though this summit is for an East and West audience. We need to realize that if we're going to even deal with it and help promote a safer and much more healthier view of sex and gender, and try to remove some of the abuses of power between those two subjects, then I think part of this has to include the reality that we need to change the way we educate our children, not just in schools, but in society as well as, and especially at home. And so I'd really like to stress those 2 points. So if I can just leave that in the hands of the world leaders, but also just to realize that the world leaders don't have all the answers. We don't have all the answers. We all need to work together through global discourse, not an East-West discourse. So thank you for listening, and I hope that somehow this does make a change.